Welcome to this morning, Asakhe. Today on the show, we'll be looking at the issue of the final mobile voter registration Blitz program, which is being extended by Asakhe, starting from the 12th of March to the 21st of March for a 10-day period where abantu they are encouraged to go register to vote. It's the final one before you go to the polls. It's quite interesting discussion that I'm going to be having this morning. I'm going to be joined by Ekaya Vote, as well as a descent from Ematopo to hear from them in terms of rural mobilization. What are they doing there to mobilize people to go and register to vote?
Yeah, and we also want to hear from them that over the past days, how has been the response? Young people going to register to vote, what's the response even with the older generation? And also to see how this final exercise is going to boost our numbers and all that, yeah?
Currently, ama-dates since ephumile ukuthi khona the mobile registration will be starting on Sunday. Nothing has changed much on how young people are responding, or people, those who have not yet registered, have been responding due to like issues afana nalabo distance and the lack of interest on electoral participating in the electoral process. But we are optimistic ukuthi this Blitz can actually motivate some of the individuals, those especially who have not yet registered the previous Blitz that were carried out last year. So currently what we are doing as community-based organizations is that we've been trying to conscientize those who have not yet registered and try to help them, those who are willing to be helped, to give them that that way ukuthi bekwanisa ukuthi reach out to the station. So currently, unfortunately, we don't have ama-dates ama-venues ukuthi bazabe bengaphi lokuthi in that Blitz bazabe bazaku-strategize njani to reach out to those communities. But as soon as we get places where they are going to be conducting e-Blitz, that's where we are going to have some sort of an informed way of complementing umsebenzi wezekhe and try to link up with those young people whom we know ukuthi in those areas they were not registered and they are supposed to register. So as it stands, we are really optimistic ukuthi this one, those who felt like they were left behind in the previous Blitz, they are going to utilize this opportunity, and we believe ukuthi this one is going to see some positives, because you realize as conversations of electoral participation have escalated to an extent that you feel like interest is improved. But in terms of people going to the station, especially in rural areas where the registration is taking place, we cannot say it has improved. It has been stagnant, if not low. So we hope that this Blitz is going to address that.
Listen, do you think 10 days is enough? Because it's coming, it's the final one right now, so do you think the 10 days is enough for people to go out there register to vote? Because they're given 10 days. Remember, in the previous days, when you had that Blitz, it was longer. And do you think this one came out late now because towards the elections? Do you think 10 days is enough for people to go out register to vote?
10 days is not enough. We would have hoped that maybe already this thing is supposed to be happening, because as it stands, if you look at the previous one, it was a bit longer, but people they managed to get what is happening after that Blitz has already been ongoing. So I feel like 5 days, you realize the first 5 days nothing is happening in terms of a response from the people. So 10 days we don't think is enough, but since this is what we have, we need to work with local SSC LACO. So as it stands, we'll definitely try to push this before it's even starting, to try and conscientize those who have not yet registered, abadala labacha, and try to talk even to our councillors, traditional leaders, for them to understand what is at stake, and also the need for those who have not yet registered to register. So there are a lot of young people that I know that they are definitely going to utilize this opportunity. As I said, that we don't know where these where they are going to be conducting in terms of ama venues, lama places. And with 10 days, I don't see them covering much of the ground. So we'll try to work with what we've been given. But yeah, to answer your question, 10 days is not enough.
Seb, good morning. How are things on your side? I know you've been working with other PWDs on registering to vote. How are things on your end? What has been the response?
Thank you so much. Thank you. And the response hasn't really changed because I think we highlighted last time ukuthi nxa kungela voter registration blitz, it's a bit difficult for them to get to i-registration center because kumele bagade kabili. Le ndaba ye-information dissemination that was late through i-community podium. We've been trying really to disseminate information, and other organizations like ZESNI are also pushing to disseminate information carrying with. Because indaba enkulu kakhulu iku-information ukuthi singaze sibe le-voter registration blitz nxa ingafinyeleli ikakhulu to the deaf community lasalela emuva. So I've been seeing other videos as well circulating even online that are also being done by Project Vote 263, where a deaf person signs spreading the message to other deaf people. So slowly but surely, I think the message is getting to the people that we still need to push harder and utilize the voter registration as our goal. Because most probably it's going to be the last one. Now, once the president does the proclamation, 2 days after, meaning whoever registered 2 days later after the proclamation, voters roll. So that's why I'm saying we really need to push, we really need to utilize the opportunity. But so far, that's what I have on my end.
Now, Tanzania, I want to hear from you. In terms of political parties, what are you going to do this time for this final Blitz program?
We have got very many concerns around the number of days, around the way these things are being done. For example, right now we've got more than 2 million Zimbabweans who are eligible to vote, but they have not registered to vote. Therefore, giving us 10 days to mobilize those people and basically push a narrative that says they should register to vote is not enough. And on the other hand, personally, I believe that there has been an error, especially when it comes to youth and the people who are living with disability and the women. The messaging is not clear from political players and everyone else who is going out there to push for the voter registration. For example, there is no enough representation on the people who are living with the disability. We are just pushing them to go and register to vote with their resources, with their time. Just go there and register to vote and vote for us. But we're not talking about them being voted into power. We're not talking about them becoming the members of parliament. We're not talking about them taking charge of the councils. We're not even talking about them being candidates in our communities. So I think instead of pushing this narrative of saying people who are living with a disability, can you go and vote? Can we say how many of us are ready to vote for the people who are living with disability? How many of us are ready to vote for the young people? How many of us are ready to vote for the youth, for the women? Because we cannot be taking them as tools to vote for political players. They also can actually, lead. So I think the messaging should be very clear that can we all register to vote so that we can vote and we can also be voted into power. I believe that we can be led by the young people. I believe that we can be led by women. I also strongly believe that we can be led by the people who are living with a disability. So we cannot therefore put a burden on the people who are living with a disability in rural areas who do not even have wheelchairs. Then we force them, we force a narrative into their minds, we force an emotional blackmail into their mind and say that if you go and vote, things are going to change. But we're not talking about them taking the leadership responsibility. We're not talking about them
being the custodians of change, because I believe that the change cannot be brought to the people who are living with a disability with someone else who is not living with a disability. Unfortunately, I think they don't understand what exactly is affecting these people. Can we have these people leading themselves? Can we have these people bringing the change to the communities so that we can have an upliftment of the people who are living with disability? We can have policies that are that are responding to the needs of the young people, to the needs of the women. So I believe that the 10 days we are given are not enough for us to begin to galvanize all these groups into understanding that the leadership is actually in their hands, and therefore they cannot be voted into power before they register to vote. They are also not tools to put other people into positions. Rather, they can also be voted into power and bring the much awaited and the much needed change we are looking for in Zimbabwe and in all the communities. So we are saying ZEC should have at least given us the entire month actually to register people to vote. At least we could have garnered at least 1 million, because we have 2 point something million people who are not even interested in registering to vote. Some of them because of the conditions that are beyond their control. For example, indaba yezithupha, indaba yama-birth certificates, we've got people who are actually more than 25-30 years, but they don't even have a birth certificate. How then do you help that person to get a birth certificate, get ID, then register to vote in 10 days? It's basically impossible.
I posed a question to you earlier on around the issue of Ekhaya vote, as well as NGOs in Matebeleland. What are you going to do different this time around? As you see, we're given 10 days to do this mobile exercise. What are you going to do different, David?
Yeah, so what we have noted is that sports, football to be specific, and netball are one of the good strategies that can actually mobilize people and group people together. So one of the strategies that we are going to use is to know where ZEC is going to be conducting those registration lists. Then we try to complement their work and organize people in those places, and ensure that we make use of that platform and try to register as many people as possible. So people, especially in rural areas, they really love to go to sport and converge and entertain themselves. So we really want to try and complement something that they can relate to, that is something that they already love, not imposing anything on them. So we really want to complement on something that they already believe in. So this is one of the strategies that we're going to use in this short space of time, which is 10 days. So but as I said, that this is going to be a short space of time, so we really need to move fast and try to raise awareness while we are waiting for Sunday to start. And I would have hoped that they can release dates from the district offices, so that we know where they are going and when they are going to be conducting that, so that we can actually conscientize abantu before they even reach out to those places. So yeah, this is one of the strategies that we have as AMA CSOs.
What are some of the things that you've done to engage maybe ZEC to come up with those information or materials?
Okay, thank you, Brighton. What you do is take a persuasive approach. So what you do is engage with ZEC, just as we are engaging here. But at the end of the day, it's up to them. We're hoping that with the appointment of a commissioner with a disability, things are going to change. I don't know, maybe it's a bit too soon to expect changes, but it seems the overall system on its own seems not to be inclusive. So I've had a number of engagements with the ZEC, stakeholder engagements, engaging them through interviews. I also have in interviews a number of with them, really. to really transform, to also play their part. I think you remember last time when I said ZEC has the statistics. When it realized that within a particular year, only 4 persons with disabilities registered to vote, that should worry them. That should warrant intervention in the constituency, being informed by the statistics at hand. So if they're not doing anything, then it really was that I have engaged them, a number of CSOs also, that announced disability as standards also engagements are there. That ZEC seems to be reluctant on its part. Thank you, Brighton. I also wanted to speak about issues of transparency. The numbers that you are giving us, the statistics, if I'm not mistaken, these are statistics of last year, May, going backwards. Remember, they said since we are now embarking on the delimitation exercise, only the chart in the voters' roll are the ones that will be used in the delimitation exercise. So we need to have an appreciation of the numbers from current. So as a result, even if we are to embark on this voter registration blitz without having updated numbers, it's going to derail progress in one way or the other. When you realize that numbers seem to have increased, that on its own becomes a motivator. So these statistics, 270,000, these are numbers from May last year, at the time when the delimitation exercise started. So ZEC needs to be transparent and update the voters' roll and give us the current statistics, because people have been registering to vote, especially these past two weeks. We've been seeing an increase in the number of young people, especially, who seems to be interested and eager to register to vote. And I also believe that this current or this upcoming voter registration blitz will be different, because we are as good as in the election period or in the election season. So back then, it was a bit different because there was still a bit of time. But now that we are in the election season, things are bound to change. People are bound to warm up to the process and be eager and excited. A lot of things have been happening, so yeah, it's bound to change. What we need to do, as I said earlier on, is to continue pushing, but push them to be transparent. Thank you.
Those issues now, information gap. I want to go back to this and to hear about Utemakaya, Emma Tope in particular. Do people have enough information? Is that bringing enough information to the people to say, this is what you carry when you're going to cast?
Information is not enough. I think Zeki doesn't have the capacity to reach out to people, or there is no political will to reach out to people and share information that is going to help them during the electoral process. Because now you realize that some of the questions that you'll be asked by aspiring voters shows extent a lack of information emakhaya. So what I think should be done during our registration processes Blitz should be maybe awareness campaigns, like I was saying, soccer should be doing that. Maybe we have a banner or something, or there is maybe someone speaking on the sideline about the importance of voting and what should you bring during a voting day, and also how you can take part even post-elections. That information I think is important. It's the mandate of ISEC to do that, and also assisted by AMA developmental partners. So I think we really need to have that political will as AMA institutions that are responsible to do that. So because at the end of the day we'll be crying foul saying kuti abantu they don't want to participate, but are we giving them that platform to do that? So there is need for a political will and also for institutions to actually execute their mandates, starting with ISEC to show ukuthi they are willing to reach out to everyone, especially those from rural areas.
I think the 10 days that have been given is not enough. But anyway, we have to go for it. We have no choice. There is no two ways about it. As citizens, since we know that ZEC is controlled from certain quarters, we have to take it upon ourselves as citizens to say, how do we come up with ways to make sure that we mobilize as many people as possible in the areas where we reside, so they can register in numbers? Because obviously, as one speaker has mentioned, it's between two things, that ZEC doesn't have the capacity to educate people or to mobilize people and make them know the importance of voting. Secondly, it can be the political will part of it, which is obviously a problem in Zimbabwe. So I think these 10 days, yes, they've been allocated, and we know we cannot change anything, we cannot do nothing. So let's go all out in our efforts to make sure that we get people registered to vote. The other thing that I would need to put across the board is that I do hope that ZEC will not apply the no power, no network tactic of not registering people, because if that can be done in urban registration centers, to say you go there, you spend the whole day there, they tell you the network is down, they tell you there is no power. So what is it that they have put in mechanisms, especially when they're going out to rural areas where there are some network challenges? So it will be pointless for them to spend those 10 days in the rural areas where they will be stationed to register voters. And then at the end of the day, you find out that maybe they only register 10 or 15 people, citing the challenges of network and things like that. I think that one as well has got to be looked into. Finally, I would also wish to say this election is affecting everybody in so various ways, especially now that it's spilling over the borders. I think the people that are in the diaspora should also play a part in encouraging people back home, and those that are here to get registered to vote. I know people who are in the diaspora have got a lot of influence. They are the ones that are supporting the suffering families at home. And I think if the message can be taken across to them to say, please, at least if you can get 5 or more people registered as an individual, and how many of us are in the diaspora is too many. It's too many. That can actually make a very very big difference. And I think it came at a time when in the diaspora there has been a massive mobilization, voters mobilization drive that is going to be taking place on Saturday in and around Johannesburg. It's going to be a massive one, and the main message there is to get these people that are here to encourage their brothers and sisters and parents at home to get registered to vote right from Sunday. If they can also manage to give themselves time to move from here, they go home, they get registered to vote. But I so very much believe that this time around, people are like eager to get registered to vote, because since this morning, I think in various groups that we have here that are organizing this mobilization, we have had quite a number of people asking where they can register. But now some of them will be hoping that probably it can be done here, but there is no any other way. They have to go and get registered back home. Thank you so much.
Quite interesting. And I would like to agree with Buck Greaves to say that, you know what, we've got so little time, but let's let's give it our all from all ends, not just the CSOs that organize people to go and register to vote, but everyone should take it upon themselves to encourage someone to go and register to vote, even those in the diaspora.
Yeah. But Zepang, last time we spoke to you, I remember on different spaces, speaking to you around the issue of PWDs in Bulawayo, challenges that are facing when they're going to register to vote. Last time you said to me, some people share a wheelchair when they're going to ZEC to maybe to cast the register to vote. Wheelchair, so will this mobile police program help maybe try to alleviate that problem that we're facing with PWDs?
Oh, yes, definitely it will. Because with the voter registration Blitz, centers are all over, or registration places are scattered all over, and it's very near, like kulabe kuseMakrosa, lezinye indawo maybe esikolo eziseduzane, so it's easier for someone to go to the nearest center khonapho lapha ababefakwe khona. But yes, it's true. It's very true. I can tell that sentiment of mine really touched you. It's very true, Brighton. Why do I say so? If abantu bebelekana i-wheelchair nxa omunye egula or efuna ukuya eklinikhi, what stops them ukuthi babolekane i-wheelchair or babolekane ama-crash to go and register to vote? Because in all honesty, they don't have assistive devices, which becomes a challenge on its own. I think it's a challenge again in the sense that in as much as efforts are being made to transport people, perhaps to Famona, where there is the registration center, kanti ungaboleka i-wheelchair yomuntu ususiya etown uyasale sebenzisana uyaphenduka sikhathi bani. But if it's a voter registration Blitz, uyahamba khona eduzane afika register ukuvota ebeseyiletha back i-wheelchair.
We're talking about the issue of the mobile police program. Some are saying 10 days is not enough. What will you do different as a Kaya vote this time around?
Good morning, on Asakhe. For Asakhe, this is going to be a very busy 10 days. So we've been planning around, targeting areas where ZEC is going to be in those particular 10 days to ensure that people around Indawo Zonalezo are participate in this voter registration process. If you remember, just last week, we were busy shuttling people, and it's very costly. There's lots of resources that needs to be used, and a lot of effort from ama-mobilizers ukuthi abantu bebesendaweni eyi-1 ngo-9 o'clock ukuthi bathathe beye ZEC and things like that. And also ZEC, because of the numbers of people that we're seeing at the voter registration center, especially Famona, you will notice that the people would spend maybe 2 hours or so, where we feel we need, those regular updates from ZEC. I don't know, maybe they could update us how the numbers are. Would love to hear that. Ukuthi ama-numbers seminjani, how many people have been registered like they did in the last Blitz. After that Blitz, we knew about 10.6 thereabouts were registered to vote in Bulawayo. But also indawo ezisemakhaya, le ndawo ezinjengabo Victoria Falls, abantu bayakhala ukuthi kumele beyiwange. So this voter registration Blitz comes at a time where we are also trying to say, in those areas where kwakulabantu ababefanele ukuthi bekade behambe 100 kilometers and things like that, bakwanisa ukuthi babhalise ukuvota. So our strategy is simple. We are going to target those areas where ZEC will be, by means of using the volunteers, by means of sharing, with organizations in these remote communities that we work with under the Ekhaya ban. So for us, these 10 days, we'll try our best to ensure that word is out there. People know, as we speak right now, ZEC has not said anything about how they will roll out their program. We only are aware with Ikule Blitz. So once they give us a rollout plan, like they highlighted, in this rollout plan, there's a lot of things going on, voter inspection, and we also feel it's very important to check information that it has been captured correctly, because kungaba lenkinga kwesinye isikhathi i-polling station ibe wrong, kwesinye isikhathi i-ID number ibe wrong. On the voting day you might be turned away and things like that. So we need all those processes while abanye besabhalisa abanye baya-inspector. So we expect ukuthi khona it to be a very busy week for even the citizens themselves, izalwane zezimbabwe, ukuthi ba-check they inspect voters roll as well and also register those abangakabhalisi ukuvota. And it was our hope also ukuthi khona i-ID Blitz was going to actually precede this process so that as many young people as possible can get the IDs and be able to also to register as voters. So for ekhaya we're just going to be focusing and targeting on these areas where they could be, and we are waiting eagerly for the rollout plan for Matabeleland North, Matabeleland South, Lagobulawayo, so that we ensure that we cover some of these areas. I'm sure with Decent has mentioned the plan we have to do a soccer tournament in Matobo where they could be actually on site of that football tournament and things like that. So we're still planning and getting more ideas from different people. You know, ama-contacts achiyana emat-north kuchene nemat-south lakobulawayo. So we would love really to have those homegrown ideas, things that really work in those communities, so that, you know, with organizations that we're working with, they come forward and say, hey, wangethi nokusebenza yilokhu, ebhingathi lokhu, enkayithi nokusebenza yilokhu. That would help us in a long way, so that we don't prescribe things that work in Bulawayo to other communities where it might not work. Ngiyabonga.
But also Nonhlanhla, I guess abantu emakhaya, do they know about all this process? Ukuthi ngingabhalisa ukuvota, I need to go and check my name again. After that, I need to go and cast my vote. Do they know all these processes? Abantu emakhaya. I'll go back to Decent. Abantu emakhaya, do they know all these processes? Ukuthi after registering to vote, I need to go and check my name on the voters roll. Do they do all these things? Even star 265, do they know about those things, Decent?
Unfortunately, the majority don't. Abakwazi ukuthi khona you have to use that number, because you realize ukuthi even these young ones, those who are expecting ukuthi khona bebe informed, they still don't know. So we are trying to work as much as we can ukuthi khona to raise awareness around ukuthi khona how do you know, how do you go back to your polling station, I mean to find your polling station, also to check through number eConnect or net1. But it's something which I was saying previously ukuthi everyone needs to play their part and try to make sure that we raise awareness around voter education. It's not about just registering to vote, but there is a lot which is related to that, which needs to be done as a matter of urgency, because people might register to vote, and sometimes I've got a fear that some people might register to vote and not actually go and vote, because bazahamba kuma wrong polling stations, and also some of them might not even go or bazahamba begela ama-IDs lan. My worry ukuthi khona people might go and register to vote, but some of them might not register to vote. So these are the issues which we really need to think about and be proactive, because I realize that we ignore some of the things that are going to determine that people are fully participating in the electoral processes. So we really need to approach this thing holistically. We don't leave anything untouched. People are aware no one, it's not universally. Some people don't know what to do and when to do it. So we really need to be conscious of that.